Hi, I'm Ron Wineholt, Vice President, Government Affairs, Maryland Chamber of Commerce. We are wrapping up the third week of the General Assembly session, and the bills are rolling in and the activity's picking up. The state budget continues to dominate as one of the biggest issues of the session so far. The budget bill is in. It's been in now a little bit over a week. And the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act is in. That's a major bill, House Bill 101, that will alter state funding formulas. About 2/3 of the state budget is currently locked up in formulas which is inflation driven. If you want to slow those formulas down, you have to do it with changes to the law with the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act. The governor has presented a State of the State address yesterday and defended many of his policy initiatives. And the legislative staff has done their initial budget analysis and recommended some areas of concern. We have some serious budget problems still to solve. We have the $400 million deficit for fiscal year 2009, which is going to be addressed through some fund shifts, basically local income tax revenues that are being taken, it's being proposed, perhaps some additional budget cuts. The governor was going to go to the Board of Public Works earlier this week, decided to hold that off in anticipation of additional federal funds. We have the $1.9 billion deficit for fiscal year 10, which is the budget currently before the General Assembly. That's largely addressed through restraint in the budget. I think the governor's to be commended with a budget that comes in under last year's budget, but there is still cause of concern because many of the budget cuts are one-time actions which will bring the deficit back next year. So that's a concern with $600 to $700 million of deficit next year. The legislators I've talked to do have concerns, one in terms of use of federal aid. The amount and the timing of the federal stimulus money is somewhat unclear at this point. The March revenue estimates by the Board of Revenue Estimates could very possibly have another revenue write-down, which could require additional cuts. And there's concern that the budget balance at the end of fiscal year 10, which is only $40-some million, is very much inadequate, and there's going to be effort to provide additional cuts so that we don't wind up with a big problem next year. Next year being an election year could be a very difficult time to make the hard choices. The Chamber will be looking very closely at the budget deliberations. There's a possibility there could be further cuts in business programs with the Department of Business and Economic Development. There could be efforts to raise taxes or fees. We usually see those bills every year. We'll watch very closely for those. There could be efforts to interrupt funding for the inter-county connector. We'll be watching for that. And anything else that concerns business, we'll be watching very carefully. So check back with the Chamber Action Network for further details, and we'll be watching the budget closely.